Hey guys, what's going on? Welcome to the show. Welcome to AFTERBUZZ TV, episode 5 of season 1 of Riverdale, the sweetest new show on TV. CW's hit new, Teen Peaks, I think is what I'm hearing people are calling it.
I like that.
Teen Peaks.
That's so good.
So we're so excited to break it all down for you guys. We have the whole, the OG panel back in house, and we'll see you guys in just 1 second.
You're tuning into the destination for TV superfan discussion, AFTERBUZZ TV. And now, let the buzz begin.
Such a good use of old songs on this show. I would say old. It's not that old, but the way they do the modernized songs and then use them in ways that you would like. Why would you even use? I wouldn't have thought to use the song to scene, and I thought it played great.
Is this what was playing when Cheryl's walking in white?
It sure is.
Yeah.
Oh my god, it was so emotional.
Ben was dabbing tears away from his face. There he was.
So guys, welcome to the show. On the far left, sporting the laugh at that comment, we have Happy Go Jackie himself, Mr. Frank Moran. Welcome back.
Oh, thanks everybody. It's great to be back. Yes, you can follow me on Twitter at HappyGoJackie.
Next to Frank, we've got Sam D.
Yes, and thank you guys all for your concern about my computer. As Kill-All Ken said, please don't spill your coffee on Sam's computer. No one has coffee, so we're good. Thank you all for caring. Love you all. You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at SamD43, and I'm in the chat, so keep on chatting, guys.
Joelle Monique.
Hey guys, I'm Joelle Monique. You can find me all over the internet at Joelle Monique and every week at blackgirlnerds.com.
And you guys can find me at Ben Bateman Media. My name is Ben Bateman, and I do this show. And if anybody ever wanted to know what the value of having a rubber protector on your keyboard was, it's that.
Yes.
It was Sprite. It wasn't even water.
I
Yes.
know.
Your computer's alive.
It's a PSA, you guys. It's like literally $5 on Amazon. They're little plastic thingies you can put over your laptop. Buy them.
I was shocked.
Save you.
Like it was a full glass of Sprite
Yes.
on the keyboard, and your computer is alive. That doesn't happen.
Hot takes on Riverdale.
Yeah.
The computer made it. It's important though. We all know what it'd be like to live without our computer. It's
That's
not fun.
rough.
It's
I've
awful.
had a computer ruined by a girlfriend spilling coffee on it. So.
Oh, are you telling on someone on here?
No, long time.
Okay, so okay.
So, guys, let's talk about Riverdale, episode 5, Heart of Darkness. This was a good one. It's getting sassy. It's getting good. It's getting really, really good. Teen Peaks, like I said, I just heard that from somebody. Dan Casey over the Nerdist is calling it Teen
Love
Peaks.
it.
So that's pretty cool. This episode had a lot of good stuff going on. We start to explore a little bit more that the Coopers and
Yes.
the Blossoms have some really dark, intense stuff going
Yeah.
on.
Blood feuds, guys!
There-
Blood feuds! It's the one thing the show is missing,
No.
and we got it!
It's
Yeah.
maple syrup feuds,
Ah,
though.
Maple
To
syrup
be
blood feud.
exact.
Sam.
Will Ferrell would just love that shit, you know?
Right.
Just pour it all over.
It feels like I always look for the strange band name opportunities and things, and I think Maple Syrup Blood Feud is a pretty good band name.
That's true.
Oh.
a
Absolutely.
little long.
Yeah, I think if you had a band and it was Maple Syrup Blood Feud, people would be like, that's just bizarre enough that
Yes.
that's a good indie band.
Yeah, it's a great punk band. I feel
Yeah,
like there's a
right.
lot of rage, and it's also sticky, you know?
Yeah, right.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, the sticky maple. There's so much maple syrup in this show.
It
That's
really is. Oh, good callback.
Yeah,
I
right.
totally forgot about that.
yeah,
Yeah.
right.
And people in the chat earlier were like, theme of the show is maple syrup.
Yeah,
That's true.
Yeah.
I will say my favorite relationship in the show is Betty and Jughead. I really like that dynamic.
Oh,
between the two
really?
of them.
Okay.
Yes.
Me too.
In the moment when they look at each other, there's for just a second where you think, are we thinking that that's a thing that's going to probably eventually happen? That was definitely dangling the carrot with the way she was looking at him for
Please
just a
remain
second.
platonic.
Yes, I have no interest in that, but I just
Yeah.
like the dynamic of just two people that are want to work together, are friends, and kind of pursuing a truth.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's cool. I just mean, it's just so weird. Like, you don't have to give much to get that vibe, and and they totally were giving the vibe for just a second. His tie's not all the way up. He's got his hat, and
He makes the appearance in the
best I
suit.
could do.
It's a very common reverse of when the girl comes out in the dress and like, oh, look, she's pretty, but it's
Yeah.
Jughead in a suit, and you're like, oh, hey, Jughead, what's up?
Yeah,
I
right.
liked it. It was a nice moment between the two of them.
Yep.
I do think Jughead loves her, though.
You think so?
Is in
Yeah.
love or loves her?
No, I do think he's a bit in love with her. I know he's, there's all these, and the comics are different, and
Right.
the stories are
That's
different.
fair. That's fair.
But I do think, he's a bit in love with her. He isn't asexual and everything else, but I
Well,
think he
Spruce
loves
has
her.
already said that there will be relationships,
Yeah.
male-female, with
Yeah.
him in the. So it could be with Betty. It'd be a little weird for me. I feel like I agree with Frank that I feel like they're very good friends, and I like that dynamic between them. If it got romantic, I think it'd be weird.
Right.
But it could happen.
Yeah, definitely. I think that they will probably keep things pretty platonic for a while. I don't get the sense that that's the road they really want to take us down.
Yeah.
Question for the panel though. So historically, I'm terrible at actually telling you if a man on television is handsome or not. Like I can tell you if a woman is pretty. It's like easier for me to do. Like some guys, for instance, take Archie. Right. Mm-hmm. I can look at Archie and be like, that guy's handsome. Clearly, he's like the male lead of a show. To me, that's obvious. At one point, she's like. Cheryl's talking to Veronica, and she's like, is this weird to say, but Jason was so handsome, right? And she's like, the handsomest? And I was thinking about that, so I was like, he just looks kind of like pretty and feminine and like not, like good looking, but like not traditionally handsome. So I want to know, is Jason Blossom handsome?
Jason Blossom is handsome like David Bowie is handsome.
Okay,
and that
strike.
you
Like
are
a flower.
so weird to look at, and that is drawing me in. Like I'm more curious about like what's under that veneer. This is not a look that is traditionally broadcast to us, so I think that's kind of what is alluring about him.
So I'm not alone in noticing that he's a little strange looking.
Yes. Well, I think, just because I think it's so rare that you see a redhead as promoted as a sex symbol.
Yeah, right.
A redheaded male.
Yep.
That is a very rare thing that you see.
The Ginge, you mean?
Yes. The Ginge.
You know, my best friend in college was a beautiful redhead, and I
Yeah.
always I called her Ginge sometimes, and she'd just like be so mad at me.
Yeah.
But I do think, I mean, there's this parallel between Archie and Jason, but I thought this episode, I thought about a box of hair dye.
Yeah.
It came across my mind, and I thought, do they use the same one with Archie, Jason, and Cheryl? Like, it's like a very bright red.
Are none of them natural redheads, we think? I think Cheryl and her brother might be natural
Not
redheads.
that natural. I mean, it's like it's brighter than the sun.
It's very bright.
Yeah, Archie is definitely not a natural redhead. The actor that plays him.
No, he's not. The last thought I had on the subject of Jughead loving Betty is that I think like Archie has had this thing for so long with Betty where he's like not really appreciated her, and Jughead's like obviously known for a long time. It seems like she's been in love with Archie, so it's a little bit of that best friend resentment thing. Like even if it isn't like he's in love with her, it's like he loves her because he feels like he's maybe a kind of a protector of her in some way or something.
Yeah, I could definitely. Maybe that's why I don't want the storyline. I'm like, this kid's way too close to home. The best friend who's like, look at what you could have.
Right.
Why don't you pay attention? Maybe.
So, Solange Knowles in the chat
Hey, Solange, what's up?
Solange.
said Jason Blossom is fine. Archie is a bit more rough.
Ooh.
You know, personal opinion,
That's
but
true.
Archie does have that little scar in the middle of his eyebrows. It looks like he got waxed too hard.
Got it.
I will just say that. I mean, every guy has a unibrow.
But does that diminish his attractiveness
No,
in
it
your eyes?
actually, it's like it was a blessing in disguise.
Sure, it was a good look for him. I also they didn't give us the scene of him running at night with his shirt off, but we did get boxing.
Boxing,
We
yeah.
got
Yes,
the boxing.
CW.
Extended boxing shots.
Yeah.
More of those, please.
Yeah.
It was pleasing, guys,
So-
to the eyes.
Okay, people listening, we're done talking about that now.
Are we? Damn it!
For this moment. Did you have something you wanted to say,
Frank
Frank?
is like,
Did you
"Damn
have
it."
something you wanted to
I could go on and on about that boxing montage, you guys. It was great. It was great.
So moving on from this, we have like this sort of like murder mystery, blood feud, filling in the blanks thing going on. That's the part of this episode that I thought was the most interesting.
Oh,
and,
yes.
And we set the scene with Veronica going over to Cheryl's house. Veronica like tries to talk to Cheryl and because Cheryl does walk up and she has that great line. What'd she say? Like, I'm sorry, Sad Breakfast Club. Sorry to interrupt, Sad Breakfast Club. Cheryl gets like so many good lines in this show.
Really does.
The best.
Yeah, she and actually Veronica both get a lot of really good lines. They just go toe to toe. But so she invites her over, and that dinner was so uncomfortable.
It's the worst.
Like the Blossoms don't even try. Like they just have hatred. They are just they're just full of hate.
Well, okay. I'm not going to stand up for the Blossoms in this moment, but it does seem that they have a lot of enemies, and whether earned or not, that
Got a lot of enemies.
so totally
do that.
Their super guarded mentality behavior makes sense to me. Like I understand why when you're top dog in your town, or at least you think you are, you've got like ancient blood feuds and like potentially gang like affiliations. You gotta lock everything down to protect your family. One of your own is already dead. I'm starting to understand why they behave this way, and I like it.
Right.
But except,
No.
that they don't care about their own because they don't give a crap about poor Cheryl.
But Cheryl is ruining things. I don't think Cheryl's ruining things, but I see from her mother's perspective of being like, you are not playing the game the right way, and you're going to take us down.
Well, this is the first time we've gotten an introduction into the parents, really, because we just see them crying, we feel bad for them, but now we're like, oh, they are POS. Like, they suck.
They're not good people.
Crazies.
Yeah.
We've all known, though, like, I'm sure we all went to school with at least that one kid who we all thought was, like, a little bit eccentric, or like didn't have necessarily like habits we liked, but then you meet their parents and you're like, their parents are legitimately crazy, and you're like, okay, I understand, you can't help it, you were raised in an environment that was nuts.
You did not learn good social cues.
Yeah, I had a couple kids like this I knew growing up, and this is that situation where you see Cheryl and you realize how little she actually knows, how she tries to present this outward facade like she's totally in control and she's this queen bee, but actually her mom can just break her down and just be like, I'd send you to boarding school, you're not allowed to talk. She doesn't actually know what's going on with Jason. She only thought she knew the full story, but it seems like she's in the dark about him. She's a lot more in the dark and a lot more just like another kid in school than we realize.
There's a couple of points I really felt were important about Cheryl this episode. In the very first time we see Cheryl after the gothic kind of walk through the house dream sequence, she's got this like bleeding heart kind of pin on her chest. And Cheryl's outfits in this episode really, I think, communicated this desire to be heard and to be seen and to speak out. Not just the white at the funeral, but before that she's wearing like all black with the red collar around with all of these like roses, almost as though she were burying herself. And I really felt that as we move toward the funeral scene when she comes out in white, this is kind of like her rebirth. And I think from now on we're going to get a new direction of her. She spilled all these like thoughts to Veronica where she's like, I can't trust my friends. Like, they don't come after me. It was Veronica who comforts her. I think we're going to see a new Cheryl, and I'm really excited about it.
Yeah, there does seem to be a birth going on.
Yeah, I'll be curious, though, because you see Cheryl, the way she behaves in school with everyone else is very much, you see where it comes from. The way that her mother and parents treat her. Just, it's very much a learned behavior, that's how you treat people. So I don't know it'll be curious to see how much she can change at this point. It'll be interesting to see. But what I did like to see, though, is just that sense of history for Riverdale with the founding families. When they mentioned that line, the founding families of Riverdale, it seems like a really deep, rich history between all of them, which seems really cool.
I will just say, I'm going to try not to bring up the Vampire Diaries again, but...
I just did.
But you guys, there's a founding families in the Vampire Diaries where, like, all of the vampire... And they call them the founding families.
Got it.
And it goes back in all this history. This history goes back a little closer to home. That goes back to the 1800s. But it's still the founding families of this town, and they all have these secrets.
Right.
Which I love.
Yeah, when they start talking about the blood feud, the Blossom grandfather murdered the Cooper grandfather. They were in business together. They took our livelihood, and then we find out in this awesome scene with like crazy half-blind Nana, who do we get her name or no?
Nana Rose? Is that
Scary
what they call her?
is what
Nana
I call
Rose,
her.
I think is
so.
her at the table.
Yeah.
And she thinks she's talking to Polly, and she's like, I gave you that ring, and don't let Penelope know, because she'll snip it off your finger. I lost a grandson, you lost the love of your young life, and you're like, oh my goodness. The depth of these family relationships. We have a blood feud going back to the founding business, and then we have the fact that Polly was engaged to Jason. It's still not ruled out that Polly was pregnant and has a child. I think that's
Romeo and Juliet.
totally on the table.
But then why did Jason make that, like, douchey thing about her in the book?
Maybe it was a cover-up. Maybe that's how he met her. I don't know.
Let's not forget that they're in high school and that you do stupid things in high school. And I feel like this might have been one of those macho jock moments of like, yeah, totally got her. But like maybe when they're together, he's like a decent human being. And it certainly seems like that book was different than what Cheryl had perceived of her brother. And we talked a little bit about whether Cheryl knew her brother that well, if she was delusional, if she was just overlooking things. But in this episode, I think she's become a much more reliable character. And so perhaps now we have to question, like, who started the book and what was really going on at that time.
Well, I think there's when Cheryl does mention how her brother Jason decided they should combine their birthdays, even though Cheryl always wanted to have hers alone. And the reason was that nobody wanted to come. I feel like Cheryl definitely put him on a pedestal.
Absolutely.
And so I think it's easy to turn a blind eye towards some bad behavior because you just idolize that person so much and you blind yourself to it. So I can see why Cheryl could, just because of that, just miss a lot of the cues that Jason was doing that weren't necessarily on the up and up.
Because he was the handsomest. according to her.
That's right. That day,
According to her.
I will give it up though for it was just great to see Hal Cooper finally have some scenes this week, other than just being like, just like in the background going, yep.
I forgot Alice had a hot dad. It was like, wow, or Alice.
Well,
That's the wife.
I miss Alice, but I mean, every time it's white chicks. Every time I see Hal, he's that, he's that FBI agent that just wants to get the Wayans brothers. Like, he just wants to throw them under the bus. But no, on Twitter, it was like, Hal did it. And I was like, who's Hal?
Right. We didn't really get his name very often. So we did. That is how it ended. We saw some evidence that he, in fact, was the guy that stole, or at least has this book.
I don't think he took it.
You don't think he took it? You think he got it from someone else?
No, he's his crazy mom.
You think it's...
Well,
She's
where
nuts.
was Alice? I mean, what did they do? Like, put her down for a minute because she went out of control? She
I don't
wasn't even
remember
No,
in
she's
seeing
at that
Alice
spa
there.
for women in journalism or whatever.
Yeah,
right?
just like Polly somewhere, too.
Does anyone remember if Alice was at the game? Because Betty says my dad wasn't at the game, but I don't remember Alice being there.
No, the
either.
drive-in.
either.
The drive-in.
I'm sorry. Yeah, the drive-in.
Who's the crazier couple? The Penelope, the Coopers, or the Blossoms?
Well, that's the amazing thing is that we thought it was the Coopers, but I personally think the Blossoms are
crazier.
At this point, I'm just wondering who's teaching the moms in Riverdale. Like, what mommy dearest psychopath is out there? Like, this is how you parent your children, yell and belittle them all the time.
Yeah, definitely. So before we get to that, though, let's talk a little bit about the actual memorial. So Veronica and Cheryl have this like sort of bonding moment, and it's nice. Like I agree with you. I think there is going to be a little bit of an awakening to the Cheryl Blossom character, and Veronica has definitely extended the olive branch now, so it seems like they'll be closer. But Cheryl makes this decision to like change it up, and she's like crying wearing black, and she comes out wearing white, and there's just such a CW scene.
Yeah, it was.
It's so like intense. The music, it's like the best part about shows like this, though, right? It's that sappy teen melodrama, but it's like so yes, this is the best.
Well, and it's just the way that Cheryl's mom reacts to it, which is not really well. And the scene afterwards, like if anybody would take you, I'd throw you away in boarding school right now. You definitely come away from this whole episode that Jason was definitely the apple of their eye, and Cheryl was like, no, you also come along with it too as a twin. But
right.
Jason was the star, and I'd be curious to see what it is with Polly and Betty, because they're so secretive about Polly. Was she really kind of the apple of their eye too, and Betty was also the second runner? I'm not sure about that.
With Betty's parents, I get more of a sense of like, we can't let this happen again. Now that we've learned what actually happened to Polly, Betty's mom's actions, even though I still think they're wrong as hell, make a lot more sense of like, don't become your sister in any way, shape, or form because she hurt herself and I could not protect her. She wouldn't talk to me. I don't know what's going on. Whereas...
Kind of engaged to Jason Blossom.
Yeah, exactly.
Blood
Did you
feud
even
enemies.
know? Good Lord. But with the Blossoms, it seems to be like, no, there's no protecting her. There's no... It's all about reputation and keeping the family name at the top. And while I understand those motivations, it makes for a very terrible daughter. Poor Cheryl.
Well, I did love how, the father, her husband, Mr. Blossom, literally...
The third.
Yes, the third. Put his hand on his wife's arm when she was about to get up when Cheryl was speaking.
Yeah.
And he's just like, sit it out. Don't do this now. And I mean... I loved that because it's true. Her getting up and that would have been so bad. I think it's very reflective of their family. Like, it's all about appearances.
Yeah, that's right.
Which
It's
is
all
so
sort of-
foolish because they could have spun that so easily. Like, she's a grieving daughter. Like, there's no easier spin than or a grieving sister, rather. Like, it's just so easy to spin that, and they go immediately to rage.
But the thing is, what did Cheryl even do that they were mad about? She was like,
She wore white.
That's it. She wore white.
Well, but also, I mean, the whole thing, I think, going to the river and faking his death and knowing
They did lie a lot
about it, like, that's pretty bad. Which
Then you shouted, "I'm guilty" in a class full of your peers.
Yeah, it's
It's
true.
not a good look, Cheryl.
Yeah, Cheryl's definitely not.
It's interesting though with
Killing it.
both the Coopers and with the Blossoms though, like any of the issues they do have with Jason and Polly, whatever happened with that, is certainly amplified by this this deep backstory with all the founding families.
Yeah.
Where I just feel like that really colors the way they react to all their children's dilemmas. They throw a lot of that baggage into the way that they act about these situations too, which doesn't help.
There's been a lot in the chat of a Romeo and Juliet
Yes.
thing with Jason and Polly.
So the cousin did it. if we follow that plot line.
Right. It's rough stuff when the Blossoms steal all the songwriting credits to the band Maple Syrup Blood Feud. all the royalties now. Anyway, moving on to the other half of the show, let's start with Fred Andrews and Hermione Lodge a little bit, just to touch on that for a little bit. So, one thing, this is a thought I had. So Fred walks in to get his food, and she's like, just how you like it, your to-go food. And he's like, do you want to go on a date? She's like, we're both married. So, A, I was thinking about that, and she was definitely, playing him a little bit for the appearance, obviously, at the drive-in. But B, all right, Fred's like a really reliable, hardworking, roll up my sleeves and get my job done kind of dad. That's like what his job is. You see a lot of characters in shows like this where there's like a local restaurant, and it seems like people are taking food out from the local restaurant constantly. Constantly. We all know that people who are like hardworking, roll up your sleeves, they buy inexpensive groceries, they cook at home, and they don't spend money out constantly. Because if you're trying to raise a kid, like, you don't have the money to eat out constantly. That's
Make your own burgers.
True, but although he does own his own construction business, so, I mean, while he's maybe not like a billionaire, I think he's still doing pretty well for himself.
You think he's doing pretty well? I just, like, remember, like, I've seen this in so many shows. It's a convenient location to have a relationship. Is somebody working at the restaurant, and somebody gets their food from the restaurant all the time.
Yeah.
But it's like, I just don't believe it as a dad that he would, like, get takeout from the local restaurant all the time.
You want to mix it up sometimes. You're like, sometimes, as much as I love some certain foods in some certain places, like, I can't eat that every
We also have to
day.
remember that Pop's burgers are potentially addictive.
Right.
And so perhaps this goes further and deeper than just, a quick, inexpensive meal. Maybe there's some deeper levels in that.
Well, I do think that Fred and his wife, soon to be maybe ex-wife, Molly Ringwald,
Bring her on the show! Sorry, I'm excited. I'm waiting to see Molly.
I know.
Just
Guys, FYI, Molly Ringwald is Archie's
Archie's
mother.
yes, shows up in like the 10th episode or something.
Yes, but I think maybe he's like she used to cook and stuff, so I guess to me it kind of makes sense.
and we
that he
don't know
would
where
go to the
she is
diner.
yet, right?
Yeah, we don't know. It was just a thought that I had. Anyway,
No, but it is a good point. It is a good point.
Valid.
so yeah, their relationship is like, it seems to be developing. They run into each other again at the memorial. And I don't know. Do we think that that's a thing that's going to blossom eventually? No pun intended.
It blossoms in the Blossom House. That's what happens.
Yeah.
I think if you're going to bring Molly Ringwald in, then you definitely want it to be at a point where that's going to definitely drive a wedge between them and cause a lot of tension when she does come back on the scene.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
I don't know. It'll be interesting to see because it's clear Hermione still has some kind of feelings for her husband.
Hiram, yeah.
Yeah, and they seem to be doing okay, and she's still willing to protect his secrets. So if they did get together, oh man, the drama's gonna be so good.
I know. Well, I think we're all kind of hoping and looking forward to Hermione Lodge kind of just like being the godfather. Like,
Yes!
we just want her to be like a badass bee and like kind of run this town tonight.
Well, I
little
think
bit.
that she has a lot more secrets, and she actually is maybe more of the bad guy than she's playing victim, but she's
I
bad
agree
girl.
with you because does that snake not feel like a setup? I know the way we saw it introduced to us is she's like, oh God, I'm
she's
scared.
alone, right?
Right, but her first move when she gets into town after they get settled in the apartment is to go to Andrews and be like, hey, I need a job, like keeping your books, which is a really great place to funnel money.
Yeah.
She's making these deals with the mayor. She feels like she might be on her way there to the Godfather status, and I really think Andrews is going to get hurt in the
She's
process.
gonna run through. Yeah, she's gonna launder money through his books.
I mean,
or
we
something.
already know she owes more money to the snakes. It was really easy to pinch it off the top.
serpents.
That's right. I don't know if she's doing that maliciously, but I know she's probably. I can see her playing Archie or Fred in the sense where it's like, I don't want to be here at the diner. I'd like to get a job, maybe playing it up a little bit more to maybe get some help or get some assistance or at least get a job somewhere else that she's not working at the diner.
Yeah. The more I think about the snake thing, I do think that was supposed to be like her by herself, a personal thing, and she was scared, and then she went after Frank and was like, okay, I know that I can work this.
You mean Fred?
Fred.
Yeah.
And me
Fred,
too. She went
Frank.
after me.
Yeah.
I was over there.
Yeah.
Creeped out by that snake, guys.
You guys are the same person, you know?
I wish. Oh, me and Luke Perry? Oh, my God.
Oh, man. All right, Dylan. Okay, calm down.
So now the last big time storyline this episode, couple things happen. A, Val comes out of nowhere, and all of a sudden, like, there's just
We
sparks.
called this was a prediction from last week.
Wasn't one of my predictions that
we
she's
were
gonna-
like,
Archie's
no,
gonna
look
have
at
a
Val.
thing.
She's having these eyes. I was seeing in the corner. I was like, yes, this is happening. And I was so happy to be validated this week because, first of all, that actress is
Validated.
amazing. She looks wonderful. I shipped them. I launched the ship. I'm ready for it. Especially because I really thought they were going to do the whole Betty Veronica thing. They were just going to play it out. They could play it out. It plays well into the CW like mythos. But for them to bring in Val out of like just left field, I was like, it's a totally new. We have no idea what's going to happen. It's
Archie
very exciting.
literally has every girl under the sun except for a redhead Cheryl. I mean, but she kind of is already in love with him because he looks like her brother.
And Josie like doesn't love him. That's not the
But
way
she like love hates him.
Yeah,
you
she like
know?
love hates him. Right. If he was more successful and talented and like represented like an opportunity for her, then I think she would probably like move up. I mean, I know that's opportunistic, but it feels like that's her a little bit.
That is totally Josie. Josie's about the business.
Yeah.
But he just like, I think at the end of the day, he's like, Grundy. He has all these options.
Still.
Yeah, Grundy, who was like, you're really good at music, Archie. You're great. Now take your clothes off.
Do you think the music teacher knew? Because he made this kind of brief
was so
reference
funny.
of like, oh.
I can't have the same relationship to you.
And I was like, do you know about Grundy's like misdeeds? Is she notorious among like music teachers of like, oh, that one? We know what she does.
No, I don't think he knew, but I did like
storyline.
I did like that they threw that they threw that line. I don't think I can support you in the same way. I don't think I have the same connection to you that she had.
Yes.
Like, I'm just like, wish I heard the rest of the lyrics. Like, I love you, but you're older than me.
Right.
Like, I can't have you, but I want you, but you have glasses and you're older than me. Like,
classroom sex.
yeah, I have these fantasies of us on a desk, but it's not gonna happen.
But
like,
it's not a fantasy.
No.
Anyway, Archie gets this recommendation from Val, and Val's like, hey, I want you to go talk to this dude. He's really good. I think he could, help you out. Oscar Castillo. So Archie goes to meet him, and he this is, okay, I had a little bit of an issue with this because... So I think I've said this before, but I came out here to do music originally, and I taught myself. I can't read music. I've never been able to read music, but I can transcribe. I can write the chords down, right? I wrote like 100 songs. I had albums out. You don't need to be able to write in quarter notes and half notes and sharps and flats. Like, that guy's full of it. Like, I understand where he was coming from, and I think that probably if you go to Juilliard and you try to get out there, like, there are some places, classical composers, where they're going to say, like, yeah, you need to be able to do this. On the other hand, if you're writing pop songs, you write a part and you sing over it and you record it, and if somebody who knows music hears it, they're gonna be like, you do or don't have it, based on exactly what he gave him, which is a thumb drive that has recordings, little cell phone demos. It's a good song or it's not. That's it. Can you write or can you not?
Well, the thing that also bugged me about that is like all your songs are breakup songs, and I feel like musicians are so much influenced by where they're at in the moment, what they write and what they sing about.
Okay.
hello, Taylor Swift.
Yeah, because Landslide's not a good song or anything like that. Yeah, come on, like.
What I like about this teacher, though, is if you've ever studied in a conservatory-style training, this is what you get. And it's not nice, and it's not always the most effective, and especially for somebody who's kind of as gentle and sweethearted as Archie is, these kinds of teachers can literally break you. But it's a real teacher that exists, the kind who's like, nope, I want perfect lettering. Like, I see a smudge on your paper, fail. Like, I want perfection, and I expect it from you. And while I don't subscribe to this style of teaching, I think small doses of it for Archie could be really good because, as we described last week, he's got a lot of leniency in his life. There's not a lot of cracking down on Archie. There's not a lot of, like, be home by this time. You're legitimately grounded. You cannot leave. None of that happens for Archie. So it'd be interesting to see how he comes up against a superior person who really lays down the law for him.
Well, okay, so to the flip side of my point, I think, which is important, is that guy and his attitude and the way that he approaches Archie, it's there to illustrate a point, which is like, Val is a high school musician who's writing cool pop songs with Josie, and she saw some value in what Archie was doing. And she was the one who was like, you should go talk to this guy because you're talented. This guy's one old school mentality of this is how you do it is supposed to be there as an obstacle to discourage Archie. Because, as you said, those kind of teachers, whether you're talking about sports or you're talking about music, they do exist. So Archie has to be able to hear that and say, maybe I can't do it your way. I'm still going to do it my way.
I will just put in there that those kind of teachers that are that well trained, they're money. They cost money.
Yeah.
Like probably a couple $100 to just get in there and have a little consultation. And he just walks in there and he's like, "What do I need?" And he's like, we can't do this. I'm like, why don't you just give him a couple $100 because that's what you're supposed to pay probably a music
You're saying
teacher.
you should grease the wheel.
Well,
order
I'm
to get
saying that
support.
it's just weird that it's not like it's expensive to have this teacher.
Right, right,
Because
right.
he's really good. It's like no guy would just do this on his own
totally
to
fair.
some high school kid.
But I do like the idea that I think it's very realistic, where somebody that you deem as an authority figure in something that you're pursuing tells you that you really don't have it, and you can have that crisis of conscience where you're just like,
Absolutely.
what am I doing? And so I do like that scene between Archie and Val, where they just kind of say, it's like even though he doesn't believe it, as long as you believe it. I mean, I think everybody kind of goes through that if you're kind of told no by somebody you think is in a position of power.
I also love when Fred walks in and he sees them working on the music.
Yes.
And he's like, okay, I'm going to close the door now, but not all the way.
Someone in the chat said, I think Fred's just happy that Archie's with someone his age.
Yeah, right.
He did. He was like, "Oh, I know you. Age appropriate. Excellent choice, Archie. Good
thank God.
second girlfriend."
Yeah.
Oh God.
So this then dovetails into the other story with Archie this episode, which is the football story. His competition with
Yes.
Reggie, trying to become the captain of the team. At what point in the episode did you guys all know that that was exactly how it was going to end? Like, how far in could you call it that was how the episode was going to end?
I was never really sure. I guess I didn't put too much stock in whether he would get captain or not. I saw maybe about halfway through that we were coming to the choice episode of like you cannot have both careers pursuing both at the same time, starting at the same level. Like if he was way advanced in football, sure he could take up music, he wouldn't have to work as hard, but in order to be captain, run the team, and to pursue an entirely new career, it just wasn't gonna work. So is that what you mean?
But I feel like the way Archie's been portrayed, like everything seems to go Archie's way.
Yeah.
And so I could imagine at the end where it's like, I can be captain and I can do my
Yeah.
music. I can have that all. So I was thinking like, oh, it's just gonna go out that way. Which I'm glad that Archie at least stepped up and realized like, all right, I can't do everything. And if I really
Frank's
wanna
on
do
board now, you know?
Yeah, right. That's right. That's right.
Unrealistic expectations have been succumbed.
I knew it the minute that Archie said to his dad when he's boxing, and he's like you said, Dad, captain gets the scholarship. Scholarship, I can study music. I was like, okay, here you go. He's going to become captain and not want it because he wants to play music. Because that's Archie.
Now I'm worried he's become a boxer. You know,
Yeah.
everyone's like, what, at least he didn't take up boxing.
Right. He wrapped his
Third
own
activity.
He wrapped his own tape on
Very
his wrist
professional,
and his hands.
looked
It was,
great.
really good. Once you wrap one, the reason that when you're boxing you have a trainer that wraps it is because one will look mangled because it's almost impossible once you wrap the one to do the other.
I just don't know if boxing was the smartest thing he should be doing to get ready for football training. Hit the gym, hit the weights.
Or how about boxing and football are not conducive to keeping your hands in shape for music?
Yeah.
Well, you guys, raise hand here. What if he maybe is a little bit violent?
Archie?
Yeah.
Oh no.
And he wasn't just working out for football. He had some issues to work out.
Joelle likes
And
it.
maybe that's how Jason Blossom met his demise. 'Cause
Archie
just
beat him
boom,
up?
boom, boom. I'm gonna take your place. And him and Betty both have 5 personalities.
Where is this coming
That
from?
is crazy.
No, that would be the most insane plot twist in the history of television. I'm like, what?
But I mean, the whole Archie and Jason thing is creepy.
Yeah, right.
As with Mrs. Blossom, tonight when she just kept on
Touches his
touching
face.
his
This
face.
boy's been damaged enough by older women. Keep your hands. No, I really found that touching. Was the first time I was able to sympathize with her in a real way, and I was like, if you've ever run into a doppelganger of a dead, deceased loved one, it's challenging. Where you're walking and you're here, and I thought that was kind of a nice moment between the two of them, and it gave her some humanity.
Do you rub their faces when that's happened to you?
No, I usually try to just walk away because it creeps me out deeply. It's deeply disturbing.
I did like her calling him Archibald.
Archibald, I
though.
was just going to say, it was the first time that has happened this season, right?
Yeah.
I don't think anybody has said
I was
Archibald
please
yet.
stop reminding me of that name because it sounds like poop to my ears.
You don't like Archibald?
No, I don't.
It does have the word bald in it, and it's uncomfortable.
Archibald.
Can you explain the correlation between poop and Archibald? Or are you just making...
I actually can't, but it just makes sense in my brain.
We got another nickname in this episode with Archie calling Veronica Ronnie.
Oh, yeah.
And I believe that's the
Yeah.
first time that's happened.
I
and
feel
I
like
really like
we've
that one.
gotten that one before, but I
I could
love
be
it.
wrong.
Yeah,
Because
Ronnie's
it's this
happened.
intimate, and I loved that moment between the two of them. She looks at him and she just
Yeah.
wraps his arm up.
And that we had Betty and Jughead where she called him Juggy.
Juggy, Ronnie,
Yeah.
Archie Kins. Yeah, they're going with all the classic nicknames. The hand wrapping, I agreed with you. I really like that moment. I keep saying that I think Archie ends up with Betty at the end of this show.
Yeah, it's not now, but later. It was just giving us a little taste.
But I kind of also would love Archie to end up with Veronica.
That's what makes it so great.
Yeah.
It's because I feel like it's so much less competition and so much more where does Archie end up at the end and who does he need as a partner? Because they both offer very different things, both things that he needs right now. I would still be happy if they both were like, it's cute, Archie, but it's not happening with either of us.
Interesting. Nobody's mentioning Val. What about what she can give him?
Right. Val's a
Val
fling.
is
I think
giving
we
him
all
music.
I
agree.
think it's a
It's amazing.
momentary, it's gonna give him some musical oomph, and it's gonna be nice and
I
fun.
want like
but
6 to 8 months. It's like a cute like high school relationship.
That's
And
like
then
a year of high school. That's like a fourth
Yeah.
of high school.
6 to 8 months, a long time in high school days.
It's
I'd
for
say
serious
3.
partnership.
I'd say 3.
Yeah.
I want them to be more serious.
Yeah. All right. So then the last like semi-romance thing we had is that Betty goes on a date with Trev in this episode, and it's not even really a
Womp
date. Trev was like just like the punchline of romance in this episode. He was like, "Come on."
Yeah,
It was like really, even he knew he wasn't on a date.
Yeah.
It's just full of secrets, just like verbal diarrhea of
Yeah.
secrets. He's
Yes.
like, blah, 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 like everything he
It felt
knows.
very middle school. Like we're gonna share a shake, and then mom and dad will pick us up. Like it's a very cute. Like there's not any like passion or romance or even like curiosity about one or the other. They really just felt like friends hanging out.
I
Yeah.
feel like it's like unlike maybe like 90210 or the OC or other shows where they will take somebody will get a love interest and they'll be on for like 6-8 episodes where you can kind of see them kind of play out, and they usually everything's great, and then they have some kind of issue that ends up bubbling up and ruining the relationship until they break up. But at least you've had them there for a while.
Yeah.
And these so far it's been with Chuck and with Trev. It's just been like these done in ones where I feel like.
Yeah.
I can't invest in any of these characters because I see you for a few scenes and then that's it.
She like sits down with Trev, and it's basically like, "So, are you gonna get the veggie burger?" It's like, "Yes." And then it's like, "Trev, we both know what this is. Just tell me your secrets. Just tell me your secrets so we can move on, okay?" You know what I mean? Like,
I kind of wish Trev had caught on because he was like, "This is just between us," and I'm like, "Nope, it is not."
I think they knew exactly what it was and just wanted to look at her boobs a little
something,
bit.
yeah.
And just like be in public with her.
Well, I don't think he thought it was a date, but he certainly wasn't aware that she was fishing him for information.
Betty also is like, that's twice now, and twice in 3 episodes that she's gone like. She's like gone to
She's
meet
gone
a dude at
rogue.
Pop
She's
Tate's
just-
and been like, "Let me just, convince you to just tell me things you don't want to tell me." She's like kind of a little bit of a secret agent like that.
She's done more journalism in 3 episodes than Supergirl's done like the entire run of Supergirl so far.
She's not even a journalist though.
She's on her way to becoming a dope journalist.
Just like Alice.
Yes, I'm
Yeah.
really excited because she's going hard in the paint. They recreated the murder board, and then her dad is like, "Just don't look into Polly." I'm like, "There's no way she's not gonna look for her." Sir, come on. She's actively investigating this crime. She's gonna have to go talk to her sister.
I will just say I love murder boards though.
Yes.
Yeah, right.
I have one at my own home.
Murder boards. I also
Oh,
like,
should I say that out loud? Oh, well, Joelle's thinking less of me now.
I'm just wondering whose murder you're investigating.
am I confused in thinking that murder board is set up at the school? It is.
Yes.
Yeah, in the newsroom.
Yeah, there you go.
The one
Public
thing,
place.
so the one thing that I thought was like, yeah, that was the part that I was like, great. So you're going to take this classified information that belonged on a sheriff's board, and then you're going to create it on the school newspaper lot, and then on top of that, you're going to put the Coopers on there publicly in the school. And Betty's one of Betty was like, "No, like don't put can't we just remember the Coopers are on there? We don't need to put them on there. What if somebody walks in? Come on, Jughead."
Foolish.
Yeah.
She's like, between me and you, Jay, can we just keep this in the DL?
Yeah.
But no, she, puts it back up on there. But I do think that Betty continuously gets creepier and sexier. She's like she's just kind of this like Black Widow that we don't expect because she's Betty. She's the Betty.
She's right. She's the girl next door. Brilliantly cast show. Shall we get in predictions?
Yes, please.
All right.
And now, your AfterBuzz TV.
Predictions.
I love predictions.
So let's do our predictions one at a time and then do our sign off.
Sure.
Yeah.
I will predict that there is a janitor at the school that'll have a Goodwill Hunting moment. With that murder board, will come in and see it, and then start putting things together and solving this murder for them.
Or like a
They come
beautiful
in next-
mind situation.
That's right. Like, what happened?
Frank.
I'm Frank Moran. You can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at HappyGoJackie.
I work at a college. I'm a janitor. I'm super smart. I walk around solving math problems. Is this the plot to Goodwill Hunting? Is that what this
That's
is?
it. I think so. I solve murder boards. That's what I do.
Well, I think that Cheryl, Veronica, and Betty could have like a trio, blonde, brunette, redhead
Yep.
kind of thing, best friends. But Cheryl's going to be the odd one out because she has red hair. And so do Archie and Jason, and they are just death on a pole. But I do think that Archie is going to continue to kind of like rise up in everything that he does, and then people will continue to hate him and want to kill him like they did Jason. I don't see a lot of other redheads except for those two and Cheryl.
And Archie's gonna get murdered.
That's right.
No, that's
Well,
not gonna happen.
no, I'm not kidding. I think that there will be like a thing out for Archie just like it was Jason. I think that Miss Grundy will come back, and it's no coincidence that she tutored music to both of them.
Yeah,
hope
it's
she
gotta
comes
come
back.
back into play.
I'm
That's
sure
like brainwashing, like the Manchurian Candidate. She's got
Right.
them programmed for some ulterior motive that we'll find
sure.
out.
And I do think that we will see Alice back, Alice Cooper, and all of the parents again will continue. It's like their story will continue to get bigger and maybe even more dramatic than the kids.
Yeah.
Where can they find you?
Oh, of course. SamDavidsonEntertainment.com, Twitter and Instagram at SamD43.
Okay, next week is the moment that I have been waiting for since the first episode, which is the Battle of the Bands. I am really hoping that this is the moment. Like, Archie is not a performer, I feel. I don't think this is going to be his breakout moment. I'm really hoping that we get a combination band. Maybe Jughead picks up an instrument.
Sweet.
That's right? So cool. So I'm just looking forward to, like, I literally can't think about anything else but this Battle of the Bands. I'm really excited. I'm Joelle Monique. You can find me all over the internet at Joelle Monique, every week at blackgirlnerds.com. Wednesdays, The Magicians. Wednesdays, Book Circle Online with this guy, Frank, where we talk about comic book news. And then, head over to Collider at some point, and me and this dude, we're going to be doing some battling.
Yeah, we're gonna be on the Schmodown doing a movie trivia competition on March 14th. We're going live. It's a big deal. It's a really competitive show. I haven't been studying at all. At all.
Sometimes I'll pull a
Sure,
movie
I feel like
trivia
that's a lie.
card and do a little reading.
I'm pretty
Shit.
excited.
It's gonna be fun.
My predictions are, 1, I really do think that Hermione Lodge is gonna use Fred, and she's gonna betray him. He'll forgive her, but
Because she's got it.
and he'll probably forgive her like within an episode. But
With sex.
yeah, or
Forgive her
something.
with his dick.
But I think but I do think that the betrayal is gonna happen. And then also my other thing I was gonna predict, I wish I could remember because now I'm forgetting. No! Oh, I had such a good prediction.
Does the dog show up?
No.
What the dog does, Frank?
Well, I will say that, Cliff Huxtable said I think Archie/Jason connection is a red herring.
A red
That's possible.
herring? What is it with the puns tonight?
Oh, come on, Cliff.
Nice.
Well, I think he's right and right again. You know.
Yeah, maybe it is just a random thing. I just can't remember what my other prediction was, so that's gonna be that. We'll just have to wait for next week, guys. If you want to find me, you can find me at Ben Bateman Media on Twitter and Instagram. You can find me on Wednesdays doing the 100, Sundays doing The Walking Dead, and at the Popcorn Talk Network doing Action Movie Anatomy, breaking down the best action movies of all time at 12:30 on Wednesdays. Thanks for watching. We'll see you guys same time, same place next week.
Bye.
Special guest next week. Bye.
Bye.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
See you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.